Hello, this is Freddy Goat. I'm Freddy.
And I'm Goat.
And today, what are we making, Goat?
A beignet. Show me your hooks.
Get your hooks. And this is one of a handful now, or maybe more than a handful, of free patterns that you can find in various places. You can find it in our website, in our Ravelry shop, and on our Instagram. The PDF is on our Ravelry shop, but we would love for you to take a visit to our website and just take a look around. So today we are making a beignet, and we designed this because we went to the Crochet Guild of America conference when it was in New Orleans in 2021.
Yeah, it was June 2021. We're part of the Crochet Guild of America.
But it was our first conference, and we had no idea what to expect, and we basically wanted to bribe everybody into being our friends, classic Freddy Goat style. And we made this little beignet, and we made a bunch of them to take to the conference, and then we handed them out to people, and it was really fun. People got really excited because New Orleans is famous for beignets, and they are an amazing, delicious pastry.
Yeah, I was on a diet, but whatever. I was like, I cannot be in New Orleans and not eat a beignet. It was delicious.
It was so good. So we brought a bag of these. I think we ended up making more while we were there, so we would have more to hand out. And we gave them to as many people as we could, and it was a big hit. And we finally wrote up the pattern, and we'll be posting it on all our places. So, unlike most of our patterns, this one is worked in rows rather than rounds. If you are familiar to crochet, that will not be shocking to you, but if this is kind of a newer thing for you, that's kind of more standard crochet where you work in one direction, then you chain one, turn the work, and work back across. And this one starts with the chain 19, and then we're going to single crochet, but rather than working into the back loop, we're working into the bump on the back of the chain. So you're literally flipping the chain over, and you'll see a third loop kind of centered on the back of the chain. You'll work into that, and you're going to make 18 single crochets starting with the second chain from the hook. Okay, now we're approaching the end of the row, and at the end of the row, we are going to complete the last single crochet, and then we're going to chain one and turn the work, and we'll work back across it, which in the opposite direction. It'll feel like the same direction to you, but it's the opposite direction because we're turning the work. And we'll just make 18 single crochets across, and then chain one and turn the work when we get to the end of this row. In this pattern, the odd side rows are the right side rows. So in knitting and crochet, we talk about right sides and wrong sides. And basically, that means if the work has a side that you're supposed to see, the pretty side, so to speak, that's the right side. And in this one, it does matter because we are going to be doing some color changes to create the powdered sugar on top. And we're going to change to this white yarn in row 3. And we're going to strand our yarn at the back of the work, meaning we're going to carry the unused pastry colored yarn by just like looping it around the hook and pulling the white yarn that we're using through the stitch, and that's going to kind of lock it in place. You could clip the yarn and just deal with the ends at every color change, but I prefer this method. So in row 3, we're going to make 4 single crochets in the pastry color, then 10 crochets single crochets in the white, and then another 4 in pastry, and then chain one and turn the work. And then in row 4, we're going to do 3 single crochets in pastry, 12 in white, 3 in pastry, chain one and turn the work. And then for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then for the following 5 rows after that, we're gonna do 2 single crochets in the pastry color, 14 in the white, and then another 2 in the pastry color. And basically we're just making a patch of white to represent powdered sugar on the top of the beignet. And we will make little short videos to demonstrate what stranding is and looks like. One thing that's important to remember on this is that because there's a right side and a wrong side, when you're working with the wrong side facing you, you need to do the stranding facing you. So so half the time you're going to be carrying the unused yarn on the side of the work facing you. Stranding is actually really beautiful, in particular if you get into like Fair Isle or other sort of like complicated color changing knits and crochets, and then you see the inside of your sweater, for example. It's really beautiful striation of color changes. So once we've completed row 9, we're going to start kind of mirror imaging the color changes. So then we're going to switch back to doing 3 single crochets in pastry, 12 in white, and then another 3 in pastry. And then row 11 will be 4 in pastry, 10 in white, 4 in pastry. And then when we finally get to row 12, we're only working in pastry at that point. So you can break the white yarn and keep that tail at the back of the work and continue just in pastry. And we'll do rows 12 through 14 in pastry only, and you're just going to be single crocheting 18 across, chain 1 and turn for each of those rows. One thing that's important when you're stranding, just a side note, you don't want to put too much tension on the unused yarn. Like, your instinct is to pull it taut so that you know it's out of your way, sort of, but you don't want to be too taut with it, because that will actually create ripples and kind of and puckers on your work. So give it just a tiny amount of slack. Okay, so we're getting close to the end of row 14. The following row is row 15, and it is going to be worked in the back loops only. What that means for those who haven't done this before is that when you look at the top of the stitch, you'll see sort of a V, and there is one loop of the V that's closer to you and one that's further away. And working in back loops only means you're going to make your stitches only into that one that's further away from you. So you're going to make 18 single crochet across, but only into the loop that's further away from you. The consequence of that is that the work is then going to want to kind of bend like that's a joint slightly. Now, once you've turned the work for row 16, you're going to be doing the opposite and making 18 single crochets, but only into the front loop, so only into that loop that's closer to you. And the consequence of this is that the work from here on will kind of want to bend towards you. So to kind of give you a mental image, this is going to kind of create like a book spine sort of feel. So like you'll have a sort of a long rectangular strip where there's sort of a ridge on either side. So then we're now working on the back of the beignet, or like the bottom of the beignet, and you're going to do rows 17 through 29 are just single crochets across, then chain 1, turn, and so it's, just kind of a little tedious, but very simple. You're just working straight, basically. Getting pretty close to where we join the edges of the beignet. So to give you a sense of what we're doing, we're going to join it like a cylinder, and then we're going to seal one edge to make it a pocket. So the first step, joining like a cylinder, we're going to lay the 2 ends together, and we're going to work row 30, you're working in front loops only, and you're single crocheting 18 across. Now we're going to work 18 slip stitches through both row 30 and row 1 simultaneously, and that's going to join them. We're essentially sewing the two edges together. And when we get to the end of row 31, we're not breaking the yarn, we're making a chain, and we're going to pivot the work so that now that we're looking at one of the open ends of a cylinder, more or less, we're going to flatten it, and then we're going to work into only one side at a time, but we're going to make single crochets around the opening of the cylinder, and that is going to be 30 single crochets, so 15 on each side, on either side. Oh my god. We're going to make 15 single crochets on either side, 30 total around the opening of the beignet. And so you're basically placing one, so you'll see like the one or two rows, one right side and wrong side together form a band, and there's like a little line on either side of that. So you're basically putting a single crochet in the center and then a single crochet into the line. I hope that makes sense. That might not make sense. Most important part is that you get 15 on either side. And once we've done that, we're gonna leave a really long tail for sewing, but break the yarn, and we're gonna thread it on a tapestry needle, and we're gonna whip stitch those edges together. And the first time we do it, it's gonna make like a little pocket. Right now it's starting to look a bit like a Hot Pocket or a Poptart or something. And you can do it, I guess, however you choose, but personally I think it has the nicest effect if when you're whip stitching, only in the center loop. So like looking at it from your perspective while you're working, the back loop of the first half and the front loop of the second half, because that leaves a little ridge. And if you've ever had beignets, you'll know there's like a little thickness to them, there's a little girth that I think this kind of mimics fairly well. So when you're done with that, you can weave in that yarn tail, and you now have this little pocket, and you're going to want to stuff it before you you can repeat the single crochet around the edge right now, and then you'll stuff it before you seal it. So again, you're going to single crochet 30 around the open edge of the beignet, making sure that 15 fall on either side. Done that, you're gonna break the yarn, leaving a tail for sewing, and a fairly long tail. I don't know exactly, but I would say you want probably at least 18 inches just to be on the safe side. And now you're gonna stuff the beignet. So normally I'm a big proponent of like really stuffing the hell out of amigurumi. This one, you don't necessarily need to. You want it to have some shape for sure, but it's a pastry, it's squishy, it doesn't have to be real firm. And then once again, you're gonna whip stitch those two sides together, sealing that stuffing in. And like I said before, I think it looks best if you whip stitch through the back loop of the front half and the front loop of the second half, leaving a little edge on your beignet. You can add a little more stuffing at the end if you want. I think it is kind of a good idea to get a little bit of stuffing in the corners, so it's kind of rectangular. And then you can weave in this yarn tail. And then finally, all you have to do is add a little more powdered sugar to the top. And the way that we chose to do this is to just get some white yarn on a tapestry needle and just basically like make little short, like stitch wide lines of white yarn all over the top of the beignet. I think it could be really cute if anybody's into like little beads. If you had little tiny white beads that you sewed on like powdered sugar, that'd probably be really cute. I don't have any, so we didn't do that. But I think that'd be great if you do that. I would love to see how it turns out. You don't need to put it obviously over the white, like the central white part of the beignet that you crocheted, but just on the pastry colored part corners, I guess. so that it looks like it's been liberally sprinkled. If you've been to New Orleans or if you've had a beignet elsewhere, you know that like when you get them, there's like a mountain of powdered sugar on top of the beignet. So you're trying to make this look like well sugared.
So, here we are again. You just saw us like last week with the video, and now we're again here making another video.
It's because 1, we love you, and 2, we want to become YouTube famous, because 3, we want ad sales, because 4, we need to make this profitable somehow.
So, 4, I can actually put money in my 401k.
Oh man, my throat just made the weirdest dinosaur noise. I hope the mic caught it.
I'm just gonna put
like,
it in the video.
It was that dinosaur from the end of Jurassic Park. I'm that guy, the poison spitter.
Oh,
the
yes,
spitter
yes, the
face,
poison
whatever.
spitter. Oh, that's kind of like my favorite dinosaur because he's so cute, and then
Kinda
suddenly
cute,
like,
yeah.
poison in your face, bitch.
Yeah, it's
boom.
just like you. That's GOAT. If you took the BuzzFeed quiz, which Jurassic Park dinosaur are you? That would totally be you.
That's my spirit dinosaur.
I'd be that brontosaurus that sneezes on the girl.
Well, guys, I hope that you enjoyed the pattern. Let us know, like always, all your questions. Send them to info@freddygo.com, and or send us a message, leave a comment here. Please press like and subscribe.
Anyway, love to see your results. Definitely email us, DM us, or whatever if you have questions. Thanks. Bye.
Bye.